All right, Luca Nation. Welcome back to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo Mai. We're officially back in the studio. You probably recognize that awesome Walt Disney World photo behind Cage's head. I'm back in the States at my family
I
home.
leave Disney World, but I never leave Disney behind. See?
That's right.
You know,
I wanted to start today's episode. I was waiting for Cage to get back to kind of make this public service announcement. And I wanted to start today's episode, Cage, and don't hate me for doing this, but I wanted to do it with
I already hate you.
a moment of gratitude. So last week, there was the whole situation in Afghanistan where 13 American soldiers were killed by a suicide bomber. And Cage, we haven't done this, but like, I don't know if you do this, but I wanted to have a moment with our audience because we get to make money on cards. And we always forget, like, this country was founded and the freedoms that we have are because people are overseas fighting for us. So it's not a political thing, anything like that. I just always like to remember, like, how small what we're really doing is in the grand scheme of things, and have a moment of gratitude to realize, man, we get to live an amazing life, and because people are protecting us on other soil. So, is that okay with you, Cage?
Perfectly fine. Perfectly
Oh
fine.
man,
Listen, I mean, it's important to remember that stuff. It 100% is, and now especially when all hell is breaking loose.
now, and we're gonna have an awesome show for you guys. Cage wasn't expecting me to start with that, but I had to do it. We made a post, Cage. It was a whole HGA versus SGC post.
Yep.
And I'm curious to hear your take on it, right? Because you're on vacation, you're away, you really don't monitor Instagram in general, and we got a lot of support and we got a lot of pushback. But the reason we made that post, and I wanted to be clear, is I don't know if you get these DMs, Cage, but like, people ask us, how do we make money in the hobby? What do we do now that PSA is closed? What do we do now that BGS is closed? Where do we send our cards to get graded? And you know how you always talk about that, the bottom tier of the pyramid coloring up. What's that bottom tier, right? It used to be grading with PSA. What is it now? So we wanted to do a little due diligence. And one of the pieces of frustration or pushback that people had was this whole SGC 9.5, you can't compare to an HGA 9.5, right? You read that, you saw that. So let me read two things to you, and you'll take it away. You'll tell me if we're way off. The whole point of this conversation isn't to say people are right or wrong. It's the dialogue that's, behind how do we make money in the hobby? How do we make money grading? All right. So this is on SGC's website. This is what a 9.5 is. 9.5 is a Mint Plus. The description. It's a card that at first glance appears to be a Gem Mint 10. Upon close inspection, it may have a tiny flaw that keeps it from grading Gem Mint 10. On HGA, a 9.5 is Gem Mint, nearly perfect with barely noticeable tiny flaw. Those are the two grading descriptions of 9.5s on both sites. What do you think?
Pretty close. Pretty close, but listen. Here's the fun part about this. Right, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of what's going on here, but people are fun, right? People loved having a $10 PSA option or a $12 PSA option to be able to color up and put in their cards. I love it myself. I mean, look at this. I can't do this today. I got this back. Can I do this today?
I disagree with.
$4, $12 to grade it, $16, and now it sells for $100 and something bucks. He's back on track, He's doing the right thing. He's playing well, And I sent in 100 of those things, more than 100 of those things. I'm probably part of the reason we had the backlog that we had, right? But you can't do that now. And one of the biggest questions that we got was, hey, if I have some cards and I want to turn raw cards that I think are in good shape that I can't send to PSA anymore and I want to send them somewhere, where should I send them? What should I do? And look, the folks in the comments, I love the back and forth. I love the comments. I love the pushback. I love the loyalty for brands. Brand loyalty is one of the greatest things that we have, right? It's why I drink Coke Zero. It's why people listen to Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. It is an important thing, brand loyalty, and there are people who are loyal to their brand. They definitely are. I mean, 99% of my collection is PSA. I don't do BGS. I don't really do SGC. I bought one SGC Gold 10 for my personal collection because those are just pretty, rare and unique and that kind of stuff. But I love the brand loyalty, and we can talk about this until the cows come home. We can talk about this. We can, we can kill the horse, beat the horse while it's dead. We can beat it for while it's dead. We can beat the dead horse for the next 3 months. The people who are making comments on here you're not going to change their mind. And I think it's important to go into it without the goal of changing their mind. There are people who like SGC. There are people who don't like HGA. There are people who like BGS. There are people who don't like BGS. There are people who like Mike Baker. There are people who don't like Mike Baker. There are people who like Shywave Logs. There are more people who don't. There's a whole bunch of. There's a whole bunch.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Don't put
that.
That evil out there, Ricky Bobby.
It was just the first name that came. Little baby Jesus. It was the first name that came. Walker and Texas Ranger. First name that came to mind. Shyway, I love you. But yeah, I mean the point is exactly what you talked about, which is dialogue and options. Right, HGA is when I talk about nature abhors a vacuum, right, and that we will find a way. With PSA closing down, people were looking for ways to take their raw cards and have a reasonable price with a reasonable turnaround time to increase the value of their cards and their resale price of a raw card while it's graded. And I'm not here to tell you that HGA is the only way to do that, because we want to maintain a level of credibility with you guys, right? I mean, we're not here to shill and completely be no homers, right? There are cards that I would send to SGC over HGA. And when we do comps, for the folks who are saying, hey, you should be comparing this to this, if we did that, which by the way there were SGC 10s to HGA 9.5s, there's HGA 9.5s to SGC 9.5s, if we do it the other way, there are people who are saying, hey, this isn't fair that way. There's not going to be a perfect comparison because they are not a perfect comparison. Each grading company brings its own thing to the equation. How, are we supposed to compare a PSA 10 to BGS 10 or BGS Black Label? I mean, everybody's got their own little, niche. So take the data for what it's worth. It really is just a matter of trying to show you that even with PSA closed, there are options for you out there to keep that dialogue going, to keep the discussion going. And guys, I will never come out and attack, respond, or anything to somebody who's coming out and saying, no, this is wrong, SGC is great, you name it. I love that brand loyalty. I love that people want to grade with just their brand. I really do. And, we'll be as honest with you as we can. I mean, if I'm grading a vintage card, by the way, forget about me being honest. Tyler Hitt, who we had on as part of our 10 for 10, he specifically told you right now that if you had that vintage card, you'd send it to SGC instead of sending it with them because they're just not there yet. They haven't graded a lot of them. It's just not their area right now for increased resale value. People have not put a premium on an HGA slab with vintage, so you don't have to hear it from us. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth, right? But I mean, I got to tell you, it's one of the most engaged posts we've had. A lot of engagement on that, a lot of responses, one way or another, which is good because if it wasn't there, I'd be a little nervous. If we didn't have people commenting, I'd be a little nervous because, you want not just participants in the market, you want passionate market participants. And clearly, if you read through those comments, people are passionate about their brand. People are passionate about where they spend their money. People are passionate about the data that's out there in the hobby. So I would stand by the data. I mean, it's a couple of data points. It's not exhaustive. We are not card ladder. We have not spent that much time putting, card price data together. That's not what we've ever professed to be. But what we will do is,
have you heard, Cage, that eBay is starting to pull APIs off of 130 Point and other platforms? So I don't have a ton of detail on this. Maybe we'll come back to it. But I've definitely heard that eBay is starting to pull comps and pull APIs from kind of third-party sites like 130 Point and some others.
Well, I mean, I thought 130 got their data from eBay, so it'd be kind of silly, for eBay to use a site that's using eBay data to come up with their site. But yeah, I mean, look,
Well, the reasoning behind it is they want to control the comps. They want to be able the ones who say what a true value of a card was, what the sale of the card was.
oh, you mean pulling it off? Like in other words,
Yeah.
which you have to be careful when you say pulling it off, because this is supposed to be a G-rated show, but. What you mean is that they're not allowing these third-party companies to use their data.
Correct.
Okay, so that's fine. Well, that makes sense. I mean, data is one of the one of the more valuable things in today's day and age. And a company like eBay, that the comps, the sales, the amount of stuff that goes on there, it's not exhaustive, which is why somebody like Card Ladder is a very useful thing. They throw in all kinds of auction prices, private prices if they have them, eBay prices. It's all in there. So if I were eBay, I'd probably do the same thing. But
so what's top of mind for you, Gage?
I'm just put a cherry on top of the sundae, right? We love every single person who's commenting. We love it all, right? We love every single person who was for the charts, who came in and said, hey, you know what, this is ridiculous. We are the ones who said, hey, I love this because I've graded with HGA and I've made a profit with it. We love each and every one of you guys. I keep the comments coming, keep the back and forth coming. The point that we're trying to make with you guys, of course, is that you can still make money with this. Right, it doesn't just have to be buy a bulk and send it to PSA with their value, because that's gone now. There are other alternatives. Are you going to make that automatic 5, 6, 7, 10x that you made with PSA previously? No, you're probably not. But there's still the ability to, to make some money here, to to turn those raw cards into into graded cards and be able to flip them. So. I guess that was the whole point of what we're trying to do.
I can't help but notice you don't have any soda, and I feel like you're lower energy.
Well,
you
it's not
to sleep.
Listen, man, we say let's do an episode. I'm excited. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on, and you started off with 1. Let's be mindful of the people who died in Afghanistan, and then 2, you roll into a post where people were coming after us, which I love. I mean, if that's not happening, then we're not. We're probably doing something a little bit wrong. I mean, you don't want to be homers, and I want to make sure that if anybody out there thinks that we were basically, paid shills or anything like that, please message me, because that's never what we want to get out there. We want to tell you what the true data is. But yeah, during my vacation, I saw that. I messaged Andrew, and I'm like, what? We're taking some heat here, and we're just trying to show, some comparisons, just some comps. It's public data. So yeah, I mean, am I a little low energy? We started off with 2 topics that are a little low energy topics. And I got my soda right here, man. Y'all take a big chug if you like.
What's top of mind for Cage as you finish that chug? What are you thinking about? What's positive in your mind? You're gross. You're actually gross.
It's some good soda. I got a little Coke Zero action right there. I finished the bottle. Let's see. So what's top of mind? I'm excited to be back. I mean, it's nice to be on vacation and all that fun stuff. It definitely is. But, it's going to be back. I got to do a lot of laundry today, a lot of chores getting done, that kind of stuff. But kids going back to school, which is fun too. Every day it changes. Got a nice email from the school district yesterday talking about how parents are ready to protest on the school grounds about mask wearing and stuff. So it's good. Might be an interesting day here on the home front tomorrow when school starts. So interesting stuff all around. What's exciting for me? Fantasy football coming up, right? Drafts coming up, right? Leagues coming up. That is always fun. That's always, it's always an interesting thing that's going on there. We got
draft running backs for all you guys out there. I didn't know. I drafted all the good running. I was 9th pick. So all the good running backs, McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, all the good running backs were taken by the time it got to me. So I went and Patrick Mahomes. And then my draft went, it was tailspin from there.
Well, I'll try not to make the same mistake as you, but I think having Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback is probably a good thing. You'll probably be all right. That might be enough.
But everyone took running backs first round, so they must know something.
There's not that many great running backs. That's why. You know what I mean? There's not that many good running backs. So I haven't done fantasy in over a decade, by the way.
Cam Newton got got released today.
Yeah,
Mac
released.
Jones is the quarterback. Your guy Gardner Minshew got traded to the Eagles. NFL season's right around the corner.
Yeah, that's exciting to me, NFL season. But can I tell you sneaky what's more exciting to me? What's more exciting to me is that NBA season is literally nipping on its heels 5-6 weeks after NFL season starts, and NBA season starts. And we talked about buying some football plays. You've talked about it buying, Ryan Tannehill, you name it. I think right now my play for you guys is going to be basketball, and I'm going to roll right into it. What we're talking about being exciting and the whole deal, but you don't really have to have specific plays. I have some for you where I would go, and they're not exactly like rocket science, but there's numbers behind it, right? You can go your own way. You can pick your own guy if you think you want to bet like your fantasy draft, like you think Mahomes with pick number 9, or you think you got a rookie that's the right way to go. I'm going to give football as an example and then roll into basketball because people are looking at football now. They're not looking at basketball yet because you have to clear that football hurdle before you get to basketball. But if you bought in to Teddy Bridgewater, who's a guy I gave last year, remember, as a play, or Jameis Winston, right? These are guys that may stink it up this year. These are guys who may not have jobs the second half of the season, right? But they're starting quarterbacks. They're going to play. They're also 2014, 2015 Topps Chrome, Prism, cards that were not printed that much. You're talking about less than 200 pop on some of these on their base rookies. Not 2,000, not 20,000, but less than 200 of them in base PSA 10 because Prism football in 2014, 2015 were not printed in that high of a quantity. So if you wanted to, you could have bought in a month ago into a Teddy Bridgewater rookie card, PSA 10, or a Jameis Winston rookie PSA 10, whether it's the Chrome or the Prism. And I want you to do me a favor and go look. If you would have bought it a month ago, right, a month before the season, you bought it a month ago and you be selling it now, you're talking about some of these cards being $25, $27, $28 that are now $51, $56, $58, right? You're talking about cards that were in the 20s that are now in the 50s. And what does that mean? Right? I'm not telling you that I believe in Jameis Winston. I'm not telling you I believe in Teddy Bridgewater this year. I do. I happen to like Bridgewater. Anybody who's listened to us knows I gave him as a play before. I'm giving this as an example, right? These are plays we probably should have given you, right? And that's why I'm going to roll basketball because it's too late on football now. So if you would have bought these guys, these quarterbacks who are going to, start the season, and be players, and sell them now, right? The week before the season starts. Right? Don't sell them. You don't have to worry about selling them in the season. You don't have to worry about them going 4-0. Who cares? They can go 0-4 because these were available less than $30 for PSA 10s a month ago, and you can sell them now in the 50s. That's doubling your money if you bought a couple of these, right? So the lesson learned there is don't chase it. Don't say I'm going to buy Teddy Bridgewater now for $50 because in week 1 when he goes out there and has 1 touchdown and 3 interceptions, or Jameis Winston does the same thing, and he's stealing crab legs or whatever it is that he's going to do week 1. And the card goes down, you've chased it, you've bought it too late, right? So what's the lesson to learn there? I'll use Zion at $405. I'll use Trey at $233, right? I'm not telling you that either of those guys are going to have a great season. I happen to think they both will, but it doesn't matter. The money to be made is in the next week or two, buying those cards at $400 for his base PSA 10, buying that card for $230 for Trey's base PSA 10, and the week before the season, the Zion will be $500. Right? The week before the season, the Trey will be $275 or $295. And you will have made 20, 30, 35, 40%. Now, if
on
you don't
base? On high pop base?
On base, on high pop base. 100%.
You're not worried?
I'm not worried. This is the time. Here is your episode. Get back into base. Right? If you like, I'm all about that base, baby. All about the base. No treble. So you don't like Zion, you don't like Trey, you think Zion's pop is too much, and you're more of an Oklahoma City guy, you think SGA, this is the year for him, go buy his Optic PSA 10. You're talking about a real low investment, right? Because what's going to happen is football season is going to start. First couple weeks going to go by. People are going to realize, hey, it's October. Basketball is starting soon, right? Oh, I'm a Thunder guy this year. Or, I better get my Zion right now and have that before the season starts. I better get my Trey because look what they did last year. They got to improve on it, right? Maybe you're a LaMelo guy. LaMelo's tough because there's not a lot out there. And, with PSA close, I wouldn't do Ben Simmons, right? But most of these guys, their cards have come down because everybody who didn't win last year. Once guys, the cards have come down, and you can grab them cheap now, and you don't even have to hold them for the season. This is a 1 month hold. Go ahead.
Cage, do you and I talk before these episodes about our plays?
No, we try not to. And in the beginning, we used to always trip over each other because we have the same play.
My play today is a Michael Porter Jr. Prism base in a PSA 10.
And it's exactly that's a. I mean, I didn't get.
We don't talk, right? So, guess how much that card is right now?
The base PSA 10, 175.
100.
Wow.
$102. Guess what it was at its peak?
300.
350. And this is a guy. So we had that awesome episode where I said Michael Porter Jr. has Kevin Durant like talent, and people wanted to guillotine me. So maybe I'll backpedal from that. Not really, but just for fun. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy has talent. People really underestimate the amount of talent. I'm not talking work ethic. I'm not saying that he's going to be the greatest player of all time. The amount of talent that Michael Porter Jr. has. Now, pair that with Murray being out. Jamal Murray's still out. He had an ACL injury. We don't know when he's going to come back. So I expect Michael Porter Jr. to have much, much higher role on the offensive end. But that doesn't even matter. Because what's interesting about Michael Porter Jr.'s cards is, like Cage said, expectation was 175, 150. It's $100 for his Prism base. His silver is still 500. So actually that arbitrage is pretty large. It's you would expect if the base is 100 that the silver would be 350. But what really surprised me with this play, Cage, is how little Michael Porter Jr. cards were graded compared to Luka, Zion, Ja, Trey, and all those guys. To the tune of, do you want to take a guess?
Tell me.
5,000.
Oh.
5,000 from 2018. Which,
not exactly low pop, but it's definitely low pop by comparison.
Low pop by comparison. So to me, it's a really interesting play. And actually, the way that this play happened was too many people signed up for our fantasy football league, Cage. So I had to refund someone money. And they were like, send me anything, Michael Porter Jr. I'm a big fan. So don't refund me. Just use that money, buy me a Michael Porter Jr. card and send me that. So I did some research, and I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the Michael Porter Jr. market, given the guy's upside. He's trading at record lows, like we mentioned. 350 was his high. He's at $100 now, the lowest he's been. Ton of potential. He's going to be the second scorer on the team this year. He might even lead the team in scoring. And you're getting his base Prism for $100. I think it's a no-brainer play.
So I haven't bought any of
these. I haven't had any of these. I haven't bought any of these, full transparency, but it's a market I'm definitely looking at because I think people are getting way smarter. I think buyers are getting a lot smarter. So you can't just say, I'm going to buy any base card and expect it to go up. But I do think that there are some very strategic guys that have been sold off, probably sold off a little bit too much, that you could get in pretty cheap.
It doesn't happen often, but I like yours better than mine because the extra layer that goes into it of Murray not playing, we always talk about different exit strategies, right? So mine.
Cage is getting calls. Cage is always wheeling and dealing. First day back. Everyone knows. I can't hear you. Say something. No, we can't hear him. So, Trey Young or Zion, apparently, Cage's play. You gave Trey Young yesterday.
How about now? You can hear me now.
Yeah.
Right?
He learned how to use the mute function.
No, it wasn't mute. The thing was like spinning. When the phone rings, it just destroys the whole thing. I don't know what the story is. But why I like yours, until we talk about exits, right? Mine is just, hey, buy your guy. Whether it's Devontae Graham even, with his new team, or whether it's Zion, Ja, Trey. Luka is tough because he doesn't really come down that much, but he definitely comes down. Even Luka, I think, is going to go up as the season starts, right? Because even though there's high pop, there's demand. My play on it was buy it, sell it before the season starts. But yours, it's got an extra layer in it because he probably is going to be doing his best work at the beginning of the season because Murray's not there to take away some touches, to take away the offense. So if it doesn't go up enough for you, or if you buy a handful of them, you can sell some and hold some for the first couple weeks of the season, and then when he's dropping 40 points a game because he's Michael Porter Jesus, and every one of you guys love him, then you're able to get out, higher, right? So I mean, I like it. I like your play a lot. There's probably a list of a dozen guys who have been beat down, from Bubble Baisley
Love that guy.
to whoever else, Cam Johnson, to whoever else you want to throw out there as far as a play goes.
To me, Michael Porter Jr. has so much more talent than all of those guys. So your ceiling is a lot higher as well.
Yeah.
I like that.
Listen, I think it's a great play. I think basketball is going to look now because football has kind of written up. We talked about this, trade your Herberts or trade your Josh Allens for Treys now. I think Trey has a pretty high ceiling also, especially when you see what he did last year. But I like the MPJ play. I really do. Just because it's been beaten down so much. I mean, that's like less than a third of where it was at its peak. And no one's telling you it has to go to its peak, guys. That's a card that was $350. If you could buy it at $100 and sell it at $150, you're making 50% on your play, right? And that's probably something you'll be able to get.
I think it'll be $150, $200 before season starts, in my opinion.
So that's and it's liquid enough, and there's enough of them out there where if you wanted to, you could buy 10 for $1,000. You know what I mean? So I like the play.
So Cage, I started. Yeah, it was a little bit of a, as you called, Debbie Downer, but I think that kind of stuff is important. I think it's important to put in perspective that what we do here is just make money on pictures of professional athletes, and there's people that are living their lives to make that possible. So I apologize for going.
Nothing to apologize.
What else is top of mind? What else is top of mind, buddy?
I like that. Listen, you can do that stuff anytime because it puts everything in perspective. So I like that. The only other thing top of mind for me is my daughter's making some dinner. I could smell it. I can smell some onions, smell some butter. So my brain is kind of like already floating off on get some dinner, whatever this is. I can smell it. It smells good. I don't know exactly what it is.
How's Luca Nation Fifth Fam doing?
Oh my God, guys. I didn't even weigh myself today, but I got home yesterday. I was literally 17 pounds heavier than I was the day I left. 8 days of vacation. I averaged 22,000 steps a day. There was one day that I had over 30,000 steps, but like the last 4,000 and the last 3,000 didn't count because they were after midnight. So a 24-hour period was like 27 and change in one day. I just walked like crazy. My poor family, everybody had blisters and stuff. We just like walked like crazy. I came home, I weighed myself because I did not diet. I did not. I had some food, I had some drinks, I had some fun, but I listen. It's gonna take a little while to get back to where I was pre-vacation, but I'm gonna get there.
I think that's a metaphor for us too, guys. So we've been a little bit out of the loop. Different episodes, some are pre-recorded. We are finishing our 10 for 10, which will have a few guest episodes coming up for you later this week. We're back in stride. Couldn't be more excited. September's right around the corner. Just want to finish the year strong. Want to finish the year together with you guys in the community. So many of you guys, we're engaging in the DMs, doing calls. A few people have pitched us business ideas. Keep that coming. We do this for the community and the engagement. I got to give a shout out to Manny. Manny's someone that started as a listener. Now he's editing videos for us, supporting our growth, just a part of our team. And he reached out and wanted to be a part of what we're building here. So just extremely, extremely grateful to have a community like you guys out there supporting us.
And while we're doing that, I missed Friday opening with Ian. Reckless Cards sent me a message, said that they did a little Friday opening. They put a little slot for Ian in there. And I should check out the YouTube. I got a package from Yam Wax with some awesome cards in them that I have not opened yet. Maybe I'll do a live and open those up. Yam Wax. Our community is the best. You guys are the best. Like it is why we make sure that every evening we load up another episode for you guys and try to provide value for each one of you guys. And we didn't mention NFTs in today's episode.
We will.
All right.
We will. I'm seeing a lot of interesting patterns with NFTs that happened last year right around this time. I even sent a voice message to Cage about it. We'll get into it. It's really interesting for me to watch. So we'll talk about that later in the week. Love you guys. Are you excited to eat dinner, Cage?
Oh, excited. I hear the silverware being put out. I'm excited. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.